Michigan basketball clinched the regular season in the Big Ten. They have 2 games left, by the way. They were on the road versus Illinois, a top 10 team, to have to clinch this one. And Illinois, if they were to beat Michigan, still had a chance at the Big Ten regular season championship. But Michigan nixed that. Gus Johnson was not on the call tonight. I was wrong about that. Sorry. I love Onion and Rafferty. I love Bill Rafferty. All right. Illinois' crowd was ready and electric, but that's not the only team that played for Michigan tonight. Number 2, Michigan hockey, was playing Minnesota in Game 2 after losing 4-2 last night. Michigan lost that game, which probably cost them the Big Ten regular season championship last night. But they won on senior night, their very last regular season game. Michigan hockey is done now in the regular season. Michigan State still has 3 games left. And Penn State still has 3 games left. Michigan needed to win tonight on senior night to get those 3 points to make it impossible for Penn State to get number 2 in the Big Ten seeding in the tournament. And they still alive. If, it would take Michigan State losing 3 of the last 4 games for Michigan to win the tournament or the regular season. That's possible. Michigan State has this Minnesota team that Michigan struggled with next week. And maybe they sweep them. They are looking good as of late. They're on a rebound. Minnesota was terrible in hockey this season. I think maybe they've figured it out. They beat Michigan this past Thursday night. But on Friday night, Michigan bounced back and won that. All right, so 2 teams. I asked in a previous video which of these 2 teams are going to win the national championship, because both of them have been previously ranked number 1 in the nation. Which one do I start with? Let's start with basketball, because it was the most recent and it was awesome. And it came down to, would Michigan win by 20 points? It was a great game. The crowd was electric, as I said, for Illinois. Michigan was favored by 1.5 points. Michigan, as I said, could clinch an outright Big Ten regular season title with a win here tonight. And that's what they did. Tom Ivicic had an alley-oop jam to open up the scoring in tonight's contest. Johnson then, Morez Johnson, the former Illinois player from last season, transferred to Michigan, got 2 out of 2 free throws. And I said in the previous video, Adai Mara did great against UCLA. Roddy Gale has done great against Purdue. It is now Morez Johnson's time to shine. And he did. He made a couple free throws early. Merkovich hit a 3 for Illinois. Cadeau had a layup for Michigan. Mara had an alley-oop dunk, and how many would he get? How many of those would he be able to get? He could have jammed a lot of them home, but he just laid some of them in. But others with authority. And I kept saying, we got to feed Johnson and Mara, the 2 big guys on Michigan's team. In basketball, you have to feed them and work your way outside, and Michigan did just that. They got back to their roots in this one, on the road versus number 10, Illinois. Yaxel had an air ball on a 3 early on in this game, and Illinois then won a challenge of possession. Davis then hit a 3 for Illinois. Cadeau had a layup for Michigan. Boswell answered with a layup of his own. It was 10-8 Illinois. at the under 16 TV timeout. 15 minutes and 20 seconds left in the first half. Out of that timeout, Boswell hit a layup. Cadeau got 2 fouls in the first 6 minutes. So he had to be escorted off the court. We didn't want him to get a 3rd foul early, which is where Kason came in this game. Kason hit a 3. Wagler was fouled by Mara on a 3. Then he made the extra point. It was a 4-point play by Wagler. And it was Mara's. It was a cheap foul on Mara. That concerned me early on this game, but it didn't matter. At the end, Yaxel laid one in and one for himself, a 3-point play for him. Then Johnson's offensive rebound for Michigan led to him making 1 of 2 free throws. Lindenborg had a pretty layup, an up and under, beautiful, towards the rim, and it's not like a point guard like Michael Jordan doing it. It's Yaxel Landenborg doing it. He's 6'9". It's already close to the rim. It was nice, pretty. He did it. So, Landenborg did that. It was 17-16 Michigan at 10:53 left in the first half. Kason then had pretty footwork. He drove it against Illinois' defense. He had the perfect steps without traveling to get a layup on Illinois. Then Illinois was called for a shot clock violation, and just after that violation, there was a 3 by Mercevich, but it didn't count. Johnson then hit a 3 for Michigan. So this Morez Johnson, transfer from Illinois, nails a 3 against his former team. He had a nice start to this game, and he had a nice finish to this game as well. Boswell hit a jumper for Illinois, but Kason hit 2 of 2 free throws after he drove it to the rim again. Boswell then drove it and hit 1 of 2 free throws. Kason then threw one away twice for Michigan. He had a couple of boneheaded turnovers. Value possessions at this moment, Kason. He'll learn from this. Only a sophomore. But Michigan led 24-21 with 7:29 left in the half. Mara had a block, and Gale finished with a dunk on the other end. Heimrichs, or Humrichs, that's how it's spelled, isn't it? Humrichs. I don't know how to pronounce the name, but he had a dunk for Illinois. Mara hit 2 out of 2 free throws. The 7'3" guy can make free throws. He has good form. Markovich then banked one in for Illinois to give them a glimmer of hope in the first half, but Burnett then drilled a 3 for Michigan. But then Michigan had their 6th turnover on an alley-oop attempt from L.J. Kason. He tried it too far. Markovich had a offensive putback. Johnson then took it at Davis to get the foul call, and he made 1 of 2 free throws. It was 32-27 Michigan at 3:57 left in the first half. Johnson had an offensive putback out of that TV timeout for Michigan. Then Michigan didn't challenge a possession yet again. They did that in previous games. I think 3 of them now, where they would have won if they would have just challenged it. They didn't. And they paid for it with a goaltend call off the rebound. Wagler got the 2, accounted for him. Johnson then had a layup from Kason, so he was playing amazing. Kason had an amazing play that resulted in an offensive jam for Johnson again, but Kason then came up hurt. and asked to come out of the game and actually went into the locker room. Could we get him back? Boswell then hit a layup on a 5-on-4 because Kason was limping. The second half ended with a 7-point lead or the first half ended, with a 7-point lead for Michigan. It was 38-31. At halftime, Morez Johnson already had 13 points, 5 rebounds, and a steal. He quieted the Illinois crowd. They were holding up cardboard cutouts of him and booing him. Yaxel had 5 points and 7 rebounds, along with 1 steal and a block. Kason off the bench was amazing with 7 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and 1 steal in 11 minutes of game time. But he got hurt. So we needed Cadeau and McKinney to step up in the second half, right? Yeah, they did. Mara, to start the second half, had an offensive putback. Ivasic hit a 3, but Lendenborg went high off the glass after driving through Illinois' defense, and that went in for 2. Davis then hit a 3 for Illinois, but Yaxel, right after that, hit 3 for Michigan. Wagler hit 2 out of 2 free throws, but Johnson hit a dunk on his former team yet again. Wagler hit a layup, but Mara hit a floater. Back and forth we went. Then Mara had a one-handed jam over people, a pick and roll that was amazing. It was 51-41 Michigan at 15:31 left in the second half. Out of that timeout, Ivasic hit a layup. Kason came back in and looked healthy as he spun inside for a layup for himself through traffic. Mirkovic had a layup for Illinois, but then Kason got hurt again. And Wagler hit a 3 on a 5-on-4 as he was straggling behind for the second time. This game got hurt for the second time. They got 5 points off him getting hurt. And a TV timeout happened at 13:09 left. Michigan had to call a timeout for LJ Kason. It was 53-48 Michigan. Out of that, Mara and Cadeau had great 2-man game for a layup. Cadeau then hit 1 out of 2 free throws. Mara hit a floater, and Yaxel put one in at the rim, and he was fouled. It was a 7-0 run for Michigan after that. 58-50 at 11:44 left in this game. At the official under 12 TV timeout, Yaxel made the free throw after being fouled and laying one in for another 3-point play for him. Wagler hit 2 free throws, but Cadeau now picked up 3 fouls, and Kason was out. So we needed McKinney to step up. Mara had a turnaround J, which Mara's looking athletic. He's keeping the ball above everybody. We're back to that. Mara had an alley-oop jam from Cadeau. Then Mara had an offensive putback on a backward layup. Laid it in backwards, and he got fouled too. And he made the free throw. Ivasic had an offensive rebound. Putback for Illinois. And then McKinney, as I said, he stepped up, but he airballed a 3. But then right after that, he got the ball right back from his teammates, and he made that 3. And then McKinney drilled another 3 after that. He was 2 out of 3 from 3. in 3 consecutive shots for Michigan. Cadeau hit a floater for Michigan. Wagler hit 1 out of 2 free throws for Illinois. Boswell hit 1 out of 2 free throws. Missed free throws for both teams. Then Michigan kind of just slowed down this game, and it got sloppy a little bit, you know. Instead of attacking the way they know how and dominating, they slowed it down because they knew they had it won. It got a little sloppy. 77-59 Michigan at 3:27 left in this game. Wagler had a nice driving bank shot that went in. Johnson was determined and got to the rim for 2. Then Johnson made 2 free throws after that. He was determined to shut up this Illinois crowd, and he did. Merkovich had an offensive putback and 1, but Yaxel answered that with the 3. Humrachus answered with the 3 of his own. Then Boswell hit 3 to deny Michigan's 14th 20-point victory of this season. But Michigan won by 14 at Illinois, a place where they lost 9 straight, to clinch the 2026 Big Ten regular season championship outright with 2 games to go. That's insane. That's dominance. Johnson finished with 19 points, 11 rebounds versus his former team. He had the double-double. I told you before this game that Mara and Johnson needed to be featured, and they were. Mara got 19 points as well, along with 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. Yaxel was on cleanup duty. He was the cleanup man for Michigan with 16 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. The stat stuffer that Yaxel is, he does whatever the team needs him to do. Hopefully LJ Kayson is okay after this game, as he battled in this one for 9 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, and 1 steal in 13 minutes, as he went out twice because of injury. Cadeau finished with 5 assists and 7 points after the early foul trouble. He stepped up in the second half. This team is elite. Now, Michigan hockey. Michigan State's probably going to win the hockey Big Ten regular season. They only need to win 3 out of their last 4 games. They played 1 tonight. I didn't see how it went. But as I said, they have Minnesota next week, while Michigan has off. Michigan lost 4-2 on Thursday last night. But in this game, on senior night, the captain stepped up. TJ Hughes, the senior, scored off a Tyler Duke assist on senior night less than 2 minutes in, as Michigan started 5 seniors in this game. Michigan was up 1-0. Michigan then got a power play. And boy, they sucked at the power plays. They are not capitalizing on the man advantage lately. They were number 1 in that category in the first 2/3 of the season. Down the stretch, not so much. But Michigan killed Minnesota's power play. Michigan then got a power play with 5:01 left in the first period. And Paige to Spence got the one-timer goal. But it was challenged by Minnesota. And I watched the tape just like the officials, just like the commentators. And Michigan got screwed on a hand pass, which took away Michigan's goal. It took it off the board. Now a hand pass. I guess the player needs to, if he touches it with his hand, he has to be the first one to touch it with his stick. And he was. You saw the puck go horizontal. The commentators even said it. I saw it. You saw it if you watched that game. So Michigan got screwed there. Then another penalty gave Michigan a 5-on-3 for 1 minute and 23 seconds. And Michigan could not get that second goal again. Shots were 14-7. Michigan dominated last night in shots. Tripled them up. But Minnesota won 4-2. So shots for Michigan has not mattered all season. Goals are what we need. In the second period, less than 2 minutes into the second period, Clark to Moore was good for Minnesota. It was a 1-1 tie. Michigan got a power play at 11:08. Minnesota killed that one. Michigan only had 4 shots on their 3 power plays so far. That's not good. For a number 2 team in the nation going down the stretch, not good. At like 4 minutes and something, Spence just had to beat El Pascual, and he did on the breakaway. He got by Minnesota's goalie to give Michigan the 2-1 lead. But Minnesota rebounded to equalize the game just minutes later. Less than a couple minutes later, it was Hendrickson, and it was 2-2. Michigan had a power play with 1:47 left in the second period. And they had no shots again in that power play as time expired for the period. Minnesota started the third period, killing the 13 seconds of penalty time that Michigan had left. But Michigan got a 5th chance to score a power play goal with 14:19 left in the third period. And Clark almost scored a goal for Minnesota, a shorthanded goal, and was penalized. And there goes Michigan's power play. It was 4-on-4 now. Michigan had 2 shots to no avail on that 4-on-4. It was still a 2-2 tie. A backdoor one-timer for Burnett went in for Michigan. Asher Burnett finally, he is coming alive late in this season. He scored with 6:29 left. It was 3-2 Michigan. As Minnesota emptied the net, Michigan killed the rest of the 4-on-4, and right after that, McKinney got the insurance goal. Yes, both teams, basketball and hockey, they both have a Burnett and they have a McKinney, and all 4 of them are good and need more time. But McKinney for hockey got the insurance goal with 1:03 left in this game on senior night to give Michigan the 4-2 win. That's how it ended. But not before Michigan got another 2-minute misconduct, and Minnesota could not score. So, in hockey, Michigan's done. They won on senior night. They need Michigan State to lose out. In basketball, Michigan just clinched the Big 10 title tonight on the road versus Illinois. What a Friday night we had. How will the women's basketball team do coming up this weekend? Can we cap it off with a great weekend here from Michigan after a terrible weekend last weekend? Friday night was amazing for Michigan. Go Blue. I called both of these programs out in a video last night, and both of them stepped up. Brandon Naurato for hockey changed up his whole entire lineup. He had Horkoff on the 4th line sometimes. Get back to your roots. Michigan, I called them out in basketball too. We needed to see Morez, Johnson, and not Yaxel. Yaxel can just do what he does. He's great. We needed to see Morez, Johnson, and Adai Mara getting the ball in the paint. And Dusty May listened to me as well. They both listened to me and both got a victory here tonight. Let's fucking go, Blue. Finish it out strong. Michigan State at the end of the regular season for basketball. We're at Iowa before that next week. And then it's the Big Ten tournament for both these teams going forward. And I think both of them could win that. Both of them could win the NCAA tournament still. Go Blue.